If you struggle sticking to a diet, keep watching, because in this video, I'm taking you through my full menu for the week to hit my macros without feeling like I'm dieting. First up, a Brazilian steakhouse breakfast platter. Now this breakfast is really a take on one of my all-time staples, favorite breakfasts like ever. I could literally eat this on repeat, which is what I suggest you do to make sure you can stay consistent, to make sure you can keep coming back and keep hitting your macros. My go-to breakfast that I can eat on repeat is steak, eggs, air-fried potatoes, and some chimichurri sauce or some sort of oil-based sauce on top. So we're gonna do a little variation of that. I didn't have any steak, so we're swapping out with chicken thighs. Now, one little switch up that for this meal, we're really not going to be using the food scale at all. And that's not because I'm not measuring things, that's because I measured them ahead of time. Let me show you what I mean. We've got chicken thighs here that they're marinated in I don't have the packet anymore, but I'll put it up on the screen, which is my McCormick Grill Mates. I absolutely love those guys. I buy like every flavor they have. They're little Grill Mates marinades, and we use the Brazilian Steakhouse marinade, which actually works really well for chicken. I recommend using chicken thighs because they're really not that much fattier, but they just pack so much more flavor. Next, we're rocking our 2 large eggs, which we're just gonna crack right into our pan. Again, if you saw my episode last week, you know how much I love a good cast iron skillet, so we're gonna be using that same thing. We're gonna be throwing in a couple of slices of our turkey bacon. And again, I'll throw the brand up on the screen, but this is the one I got at Costco. Really like these guys. It's just a Columbus turkey bacon's uncured, super simple. Really any turkey bacon's gonna be good. We've got our yellow potatoes already diced up. Now I've got a pound here. However, as I've mentioned before, don't base your macros off my macros because you might have different goals than mine, but I will put my macros currently up on the screen so you can see what they are. Now, when it comes to my split, I like to follow a pretty balanced split. I'll go 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat. That split is going to work for most people. If you're a high performing athlete, if you're doing keto or something like that, which I'm not a fan of, but that's another story. First of all, you probably know enough about your macros where you don't really need this series. That's not going to be most people. Most people, that's the one I recommend. And to make it a true rodizio, I'm sure I'm butchering that pronunciation, style meal, we're gonna be topping everything off with a little bit of this chimichurri sauce. I fucking love chimichurri sauce. It is like, without question, one of my favorite oil-based sauces to drizzle on things. This one right here, you can get this at, it's kind of hard to find. You can get it at Whole Foods. That's where I typically get it. That's one of the rare things I buy at Whole Foods. But if you can get your hands on this, it is without question the best chimichurri sauce I have ever tasted in my entire life. Now let's get things going. First, little avocado oil. Pour in our potatoes to our air fryer. We're gonna let these air fry in the background while everything else is on the skillet. Now we're gonna season these up with, keeping with the theme, a little of this Kinder's chimichurri seasoning. So we'll give it a quick spray. I like to be pretty liberal with my seasoning. I'm not really liberal anywhere else in life, if you catch my drift. But with my seasoning, I really pack it on. Now we'll pop this in the air fryer. We'll let this go. I like to do like 350 for about, this is a pound, so about 15, 20 minutes. And while the potatoes are going, let's get everything cooking. So make sure your cast iron skillet is nice and hot. Now, even if you have a pot holder like this one, this pan is gonna get real hot real fast, so keep that in mind. A little more of our avocado spray. Let's go ahead and crack our 2 eggs, so that way when they don't like expand everywhere, we can just kind of keep them down in the corner to keep a lot of real estate space in the pan. 1 turkey slice, 2 turkey slices, and then let's just pop in our chicken. You don't have to get too creative here, just toss everything in. This is why I like to use a big, this is like an 11-inch whatever skillet, just so I can kind of do everything all at once. I'm not a fan of making more dishes than I need. I try to be as efficient as I can with cooking. Time is a factor. We don't all have our own personal chefs, including me. That's about medium-high heat. We're gonna do 5 minutes per side for that entire pan. Now, while that's all cooking, I just wanna take a second to kind of remind you of a fact that not everything has to be a recipe. As you can see, all I'm doing is throwing a bunch of meat in a pan with some potatoes, and that's like the entire meal. What turns it into a recipe is the exact ingredients and the method of cooking it and the instructions. That's why I love apps like, I'm a big MyFitnessPal fan. I know not everybody is. I use them literally daily. I have for like 5 years. One of the features I like about MyFitnessPal is that you can track all your ingredients one time, and then you can use the little function save as meal. So you could do this right here. If you're following along on MyFitnessPal, you can literally make this with me, and you can type in and you can say Clark's Brazilian Steakhouse breakfast, and you can save that as a meal. So that way when you come back to it, you don't need to retrack everything all over again. That's what messes people up. Tracking. That's why people say that it's tedious. It's not that it's tedious, it's that you're doing it the dumbest way possible. And you do this a few times, all of a sudden, now you've got a bit of a library to choose from, and you've got a bit of a meal library, so you don't need to reinvent the wheel every single week. So just a little tip for you, stop thinking in terms of ingredients, start thinking in terms of recipes and meals. That's another reason I'm so adamant about tracking everything in an app like MyFitnessPal. I'm not obsessing about the fact, oh, did I use 17 grams instead of 16 grams for the chimichurri sauce? If I come up with a meal that's fire and I want to make it again, I want to remember how I did it because I want it to be the same level of awesome next time around. And I don't want it to be like, oh, like, how much chimichurri sauce did I use? I'll write it down the one time and save it. You're good. A couple turkey bacon slices right on the side there. Nice crispy fried eggs right up in front. Nice golden brown air fryer potatoes. Just go right over here on this side. Now right onto the food scale. Again, we're just gonna set our plate, zero out, and it makes that whole measuring thing so much easier because it's just like it's going on in the background. If I can ever get the darn thing open. Then we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of this on here, and we're just gonna drizzle. I gotta sample like just a little bit of the chicken. Oh my God. Hell yeah. I literally feel like I'm at a Brazilian steakhouse restaurant and I didn't flip the card over and they just kept bringing me stuff and I kept eating it. And it's a true story, actually. My brother and my sister were at one in Puerto Vallarta and somebody had to come by afterwards and they were like, damn, you guys are really hungry. I was like, well, they keep bringing us stuff. And they were like, well, why didn't you flip the card over? I was like, what card? They're like, the card. Green means bring more stuff. Red means stop. And we were like, we were supposed to flip that? You eat this for breakfast 5 days a week, you are gonna build muscle, you are gonna lose fat like a motherfucker. Moving on to our main course, a spicy Calabrian chicken pasta. And we've already got our water boiling, so I'm gonna pour in some rotini pasta. There's no real reason behind this, I just thought it was a fun shape. We're gonna let this cook for about 10 minutes while I show you everything else. First, we've got our chicken that's already been marinating. Now, fun fact, I actually gave a shot at making my own marinade for this. So you can see here, we've got some sliced up chicken breasts with some red jalapenos chopped in. Now for the marinade, what I did was I just took a little bit of seasoning from Kinder's, my favorite guys, this red jalapeno garlic seasoning right here. And then I just mixed it with some olive oil and then a little bit of red wine vinegar. Now I'll put the description of that, portioned everything out. This is 8 ounces of chicken right here. And I've got it all ready to go. As I've been talking about before, the more you plan ahead, the easier it makes things. I've already got my chicken all figured out and all weighed out in portions. So when it comes time to cook it, which is what we're doing now, all I've got to do is just throw it in and we're good. Now for the actual pasta sauce, fun fact, I got this Calabrian Italian Bamba, this sauce from Trader Joe's. I actually bought this like a month ago and I had no clue what I was gonna do with it. I just saw it on the shelf and said, that sounds awesome. I'm gonna figure out a way to use that. And luckily, I had seen before that they had a spicy Calabrian pasta sauce. So this is a perfect combination, literally, of these two flavors to make a really, really good entree slash main course. All right, timer just went off. Now, if you watched my video last week, then you know that whenever we're making pasta, we're gonna do ourselves a favor. We're gonna save about a 1/4 cup of the pasta water. You wanna save that because that's got that starch. It's really gonna help bind the pasta sauce to the pasta itself. Go ahead and strain this out. Dry off the inside of our pan because in the spirit of efficiency, we're gonna use this exact same pan to cook our chicken. And the nice part is it's hot already because it's just been on the stove for 15 minutes. So all we have to do is just toss our stuff in. We're gonna let this go probably about 5 minutes per side. And again, I always talk about efficiency and efficiency with time. Cook your pasta all at once at the beginning of the week. I'm just doing this to show you the steps. Now, while our chicken is cooking, I want to take a second to say that if you're liking this series and if you're liking all these meals that I make and you want recipes like this to hit your own goals and hit your macros and do it in a way that tastes good, that you're going to be able to stick to, I have my own cookbook, Chill Flex Cooking. It currently has over 70 macro-friendly recipes for only 36 bucks. That's 50 cents a recipe. I think it's a screaming deal that you're crazy not to take advantage of. We gotta flip these over, see how these are doing. Now, I'm gonna warn you right now too, I have a really high spicy tolerance and I love spicy shit. You might not have the same tolerance I do, so if you want to tone this down, don't add the red jalapenos, don't add spicy olive oil, just add regular olive oil, a couple things like that, not quite as much of the seasoning. All right, let's go ahead and add our cooked pasta. Pasta's cooked, let's plate up. Add on about a tablespoon and a half of our fancy oil-based peppers here to just really, just make it look pretty as fuck, and to just add a little bit of an extra kick. Finish it off. That looks like literal fire. And I don't mean that as like a euphemism. I mean, it's hot as shit, but it's really good. I cannot wait to try a bite of this. Oh man, I got some kick, but I love kick. And hopefully you do too. But remember, like I said, if you don't, tone it down a little. Finally, we're finishing off with dessert. Powdered protein donut holes. Now the first thing we're gonna do, heat up a little bit of milk, and you just pop this in the microwave for like 30, 60 seconds. It doesn't have to be scalding hot. The next thing we're gonna add, we need a little bit of sugar. We don't need a crazy amount. We don't need like a cup like you would normally make with donuts, but we do need a little bit. Because we're using yeast, the yeast needs something to feed on. It needs some sort of sugar. So we're gonna add a little bit of blue agave. We're just gonna pour a tablespoon right in and just give this a little quick stir. Then we're gonna add in a teaspoon and a half of our instant yeast. Now remember what I said about letting this feed, so you gotta give it a minute to kind of get going. This is one that definitely takes, I'll be honest, a little bit of patience. I'm gonna do a lot of things in between, like while this is rising, I'm gonna go watch the Thursday night football game. In my opinion, to get that authentic donut taste, it's really worth the time and effort to do this. Plus, this is a really great one to do at the beginning of the week. Remember all those memes you've seen before about meal prepping like a slice of pizza in a Tupperware? Well, you basically can do that, but with donut holes. How crazy is that? So we're gonna let this kind of activate for about 10 minutes and we'll come right back to it. All right, timer just went off. Now I wanna show you just what I was talking about here. You can see how this is kind of foaming up. We see this, we know our yeast is activating. It's gonna get those donut holes nice and fluffy and airy, exactly what we want. Now, let's make the rest. We're gonna add a 1.75 cups of our all-purpose flour. We're gonna set aside a 1/4 cup. We use that later to dust everything, especially this dough gets kind of sticky. So when we're working it and rolling it into our little donut holes, makes it just easier to work with. All right, next we're gonna add in 2 scoops of our good friend collagen protein, then a tablespoon of our monk fruit sweetener. Stir this around real quick. Now, before we add our flour mix and make this into an actual dough, we're gonna add a couple more things to our yeast. First off, some melted butter, nice large egg, little teaspoon of vanilla extract, and now in we go. And from here on out, it's really as simple as just gently. One mistake that a lot of people make when working with yeast-based doughs is they think they need to stir a crazy amount. You just need to stir enough to get it mixed. The more you stir, it's gonna kind of come out with this like rubbery consistency. So just mix it in kind of gently just to get everything mixed together. It's all you need. Quick spray with our 0-calorie avocado oil just so it doesn't stick to the sides. Now we need to let this rise, and the best place to do that is, funny enough, in the oven. Don't turn your oven on though. We're gonna put it in our oven, but we're just gonna turn the oven light on. Just gives it enough kind of ambient heat to be in a dark, warm area. So let this rise for an hour and we'll be right back. Now again, in the spirit of using our time efficiently, while we're rolling these up, we're gonna preheat our oven, actually turn it on now to 350. All right, let's pop these bad boys in the oven, let them go. We're gonna go about 10 minutes, maybe 11. You really don't need a long time. All right, moment of truth. Now I gotta say, even without putting the powdered sugar on them, that'll come next. These, I think these actually turned out pretty well. I mean, you take the kind of ugly little top off and these bottom parts, these look like perfect little donut holes. Now into the very same mixing bowl we used at the beginning, we're gonna toss in our Swerve powdered sugar. Now this is the part that looks really easy, but it's actually really easy to screw up, which is tossing all our donut holes. Now what you wanna do, spray of our avocado oil just so the powdered sugar just kind of sticks to them a little bit better. And it's really tempting here to want to really like vigorously, violently shake. You don't want to do that because these are kind of delicate, which is the idea. So you really just want to gently sort of toss them. Just tossing them, not too crazy, not super vigorous, just enough so they coat. I gotta say, you take a look at these. I mean, these are like perfect. These are like store-bought. This is like awesome. And aside from that little bit, that 1 tablespoon of the agave that we used at the beginning, which is distributed across 2 dozen, so it's like negligible. These are virtually sugar-free. So if you care about that sort of thing, I got you covered. Now all that's left to do, plate up. I mean, like, I cannot wait to get into these. See, this just goes to show that once you understand the relationship between macros, how to make smart adjustments, how to change certain ingredients to maintain taste while decreasing calories, while increasing protein, while reducing fat, you truly can do anything, and you're not limited by anything. As they say in the Twilight Zone, you are limited only by the boundaries of your imagination, or something. I gotta try one of these. Oh my gosh, that turned out so much better than I thought it was going to. Wow. Holy shit. All right, guys, that's it for this week's episode. Thanks again for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, make sure to like the video and subscribe for a new episode every week. And if you want a PDF version of any of the meals that I went over in this episode, just go down to the video description. I've got a link to download each one of them. It's totally free. So you can start building up your own little meal library too. I'll see you next time.